Hey there, everybody. Welcome. It's Lotus, and I am doing an evening video, which is rare, very rare, very rare. But I've just been really inspired by the day, and outside right now is so beautiful. And I wanted to talk a little bit about just how palpable this transition that is happening right now has been, but really this month it's standing out. You know, the light has been changing because our sun has been changing and sending codes, for a long time. The light for the last couple years, it's been pretty steady, and but October, even some of August has just felt really palpable in the way that the light flows and moves through the trees and on the leaves, and even the light itself. I think I've mentioned this before, like it's white, like as in a lighter yellow than I think it was, before, prior to say 2 or 3 years ago. And the deeper peace is really coming through and being felt, even when there's upgrades going on. That breeze is just like, I'm feeling like the elements are really coming alive. And the night before last, it was the middle of the night, and I kind of woke up and, had my window open, and I did not hear any wind outside, but I could feel the wind element. On a very subtle level, sort of around me and speaking to me. So when I usually talk about the wind element, I connect with it as Elura, which is the name of that element. And I was in a half sleep state, so I just really acknowledged the presence of that intelligence, that consciousness connecting with me. So I'm saying all of this because the shifts that I think are going to be happening, which not I think, but are happening, and that are being spoken about by a lot of those that are really in the ascension trajectory, right? Dialed into whatever their blueprint is. And this, I guess, has been more of the astrology and just other people. Anyway, this is why I don't do a lot of things in the evening, because I'm not the sharpest tack in the bunch at night. But I guess the main thing that I felt inspired about today, when I was outside, and I spent a lot of time out at the park, and then I went to the spring that's close by to fill up my water. And, when I'm talking about that waluna, right, that's living water. And even along with the air, right? It's like there's this communication. So there's this intelligence, there's this consciousness that is really becoming enlivened. And most of us have probably seen these different talks about the consciousness of water is elevating, it's expanding, like it is becoming more conscious. And so, when I moved out here so that I had access to a spring, it was just like really wonderful. right? And so I love partaking of it. I love going and getting the water, and I love drinking it, and I love when I'm present enough, which isn't all the time, to really connect with it and and connect with, what frequencies am I wanting to invite the support of that water element to assist. Our earth is conscious, we've known that. Um, the sun is conscious, the fire, right? And the solar frequencies and that solar light is growing, and the codes and the information that we're receiving is increasing. And this little bug, and I put this like on my Facebook and some of my social media, which, I don't do a lot of social media, but I have been doing more. This little sweet little bug, when I was waiting for in line, there were a couple people in front of me for the water, and he was just like flying around. And so I started talking to him, her, and he just like was zeroing in right in front of me instead of sort of all over. And so I realized that we were communicating, that it heard me, and it was aware that I was communicating and connecting with it. So I held up my hand, and just invited him to land, and that it was okay. And so we had like a couple really lovely exchanges, and the subtlest of movement that I would make, right? Because they're tuned into the subtleties, right? You kind of, flick away. And then I would still again, and he'd come and he'd rest. And, some of you probably play with our little friends like this as well. But the coherence is there for us to really enter into. The expansion and the spaciousness and the invitations and the teachings and guidances that I have been getting over this last year have really been letting go of our self-sufficiency and turning our energy over to God sufficiency, divine sufficiency, beginning to really develop in whatever way we need to do that faith and trust that we're being held at all times. And the more that we tune in to the beings and the consciousness and, the trees and the earth and the Holy Mother and Holy Father, we are provided for. We are protected. When we begin tuning more into the wisdom of life, the wisdom of organic, or the organic timelines. And most of us, I'm sure, can feel when you're really dialed in, right? When you're elevated, maybe you've just had some meditation, maybe you have had some light language, maybe you've just been out in nature, in the forest, and you're in that immersion state. So the connectedness is there and open. And again, David Clements really, I think, spoke to this so clearly in that interview with Pam Gregory that I know I keep sort of talking about. But I'm talking about it because I feel like it's really important for all of us to take it to heart that this is what is accessible now. And we access it, we feel it, we touch it, and we let it touch us in those excuse me, in those smaller pockets of time. And then what we think of as life, right? The mechanical doing and on the whatever our hamster wheel is for survival and to, make sure that our basic needs are met. And I'm not negating that. And I'm not negating the importance of that at this juncture. But we're being positioned to really learn that things are changing and things are going to be done very differently. And so, one of the things that that I've been really aware of over the last probably 3 years, when everything collapsed on me in 2022, when my sweet Bubby, died, everything changed at that point. And it's been a very sort of tedious and frustrating and sometimes rewarding process of recognizing that for those of us who are paving the way, we have to learn a new way of operating. And we're being guided to not be in our self-will as much. Because the way that we're going to be co-creating, we've talked about this before, I did a class on this, probably 2 years ago on co-creating. And co-creating is different than manifesting. Co-creating is we establish the reality within us first, meaning the frequencies and the vibrations of whatever it is that we are wanting to bring into and to create the life that we want to live. We have to be vibrating at those higher frequencies first. Because the new way is, no, it's not new. It happens all the time. But the mastery that we're being invited into is that what is within is what is without, and what is without is a reflection of what is within. It's an ancient truth. This isn't anything new. But we've been growing through the stages of self-will. And I believe that that's been a valuable and necessary phase and stage for our development. And now we're being called to align even more deeply with divine will, with life, with the organic flow. The life that is happening organically, that is transforming us when we're out in it, when we're connecting to it, and when we are raising our frequency and expanding our consciousness to meet it, it is not coming through technology. It is not coming through AI. It is not coming through, all of us, including myself, who are giving you information. Now, all of it has its place. And yet, the next leveling is direct connection to divine source, direct connection to life, and learning how to trust in that, learning how to begin to navigate a world and co-create a world that is not based on trying to get or consistently bringing our attention outside of our center. And this goes to the point of, the whole embodiment process that I work with in general across the board is about coming home, being embodied, bringing our soul presence and living from within here, living from within our deepest truths and that connection to our own inner rhythms and our own inner wisdom and how that interfaces with life and the cosmos. So I'm not going to say a lot more, but I guess the last thing that I want to say, and I'll probably do something a bit longer because this was sort of the whole point of my initial inspiration, that again, evening is not my time to be doing anything that requires my brain. But, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about how the more that we amplify these frequencies, and when we get used to being in longer pockets, and when I say longer pockets, I mean maybe longer than when you're meditating and then 10 to 15 minutes after you're meditating, or doing yoga, or having a massage, or being outside in nature and being infused, right, with all of that love that life is. And that we very quickly lose that frequency and that expression and experience of being elevated and at peace and coherent and probably operating slower and softer and more connected to the body, more connected to the heart. There's a point to where, because we're not used to it, we think something's wrong. All right, so I have many conversations often with clients who, when they start increasing their frequency and expanding their field and operating from a more internal compass, they think they're depressed, or they're so tired, or they're lethargic, or they can't understand why they don't feel motivated. So this is because there's a new operating system attempting to anchor in. If you're on this journey, if you're doing this work, you aren't depressed. It's that we are so heightened in the grossness and the density of life, and in the speed of life, and in the needing to do and strive and prove, and the, egoic structures needing to be seen, and all of these things, and stress, and, I got to go do this, and I got to go do that, and I got to go do this. And so our nervous systems get acclimated to this imbalance. And really, when we start to expand, we're slowing down. We're becoming more subtle. We're becoming more grounded. We're becoming quieter. We're becoming calmer. We're becoming coherent. And there's a threshold of what is tolerable if this is new, right? We want to take a stimulant to make us feel like alive again, which is wired to some degree. So what I want to say is, over these next few months, as we're being invited to empty out and to go into non-doing, so that we can actually move from whatever space we are in, from whatever stage we are in currently, to the next stage, because everything is pointing to, and even experientially, I will affirm and confirm, it's already happening. It's only going to increase. So be aware of your knee-jerk reaction and thought form to try to hold on to the way that you've been used to feeling and operating and thinking about what you need to go and do. And instead, see if you can increase your tolerance for slowness, softness, stillness, quietude, and non-doing. Increase your ability to be in beingness, spaciousness, openness. Rest into it. Everything that we think that we need to be doing out in the world is really just because that's how we're programmed. So, speaking of doing, I am going to say, I do have new offers to be participating in, and those are going to be at the Kismet Collective here in Tulsa. Each of them are provided as methods to get us acclimated to going within. So I'll put the link for the Kismet Collective below, and there's going to be the Yoga Nidra that is going to be an ongoing class. Rather, it's just going to be ongoing every week on Mondays. There's going to be an every other deep dive movement class that is very internal. It's movement meditation to come into a deeper relationship with your own beingness, your own rhythm and cycles. And then there's going to be a light language meditation starting in November on Sundays, so that you'll get regular activations with the light language. So, yeah, so I think that's it for now. But I want to just encourage all of us to extend whatever our period of non-doing is and keep lengthening it. And when you're in that, like today when I was out at the park, I did, walking, and, I do like a lot of prayerful walking when I'm walking and connecting with everything and talking to God. And then afterwards, I just laid for probably 45 minutes to an hour, watched the clouds and listened to, Elura, the wind, elements in the trees, and just invited in all of these new frequencies. I was connecting up to the cosmos. The new moon is right around the corner. The earth, inviting in and just saying, yes, I am open to receive. I am open to receive all of this love and vitality and these next levels for the new earth, the heaven on earth. The coherence that we create from the frequencies within are what bring about that new earth or heaven on earth reality. So, more can be said, but that's all for now. And yeah, I hope that resonated with you. And so this is going to go both on YouTube and my Patreon. And so if it resonates, if you are called to continue to learn more about this, please subscribe and like on the channel, or join us over on Patreon. We'd love to have you there. All right.